Have you ever felt lost, questioning why life brings so many hardships? Perhaps you found yourself at a crossroads, unsure of how to move forward or why you're experiencing so much pain. It's a feeling many of us face, and it's in these moments that we seek stories of strength, resilience, and unwavering faith to inspire us. Thalita's journey is one such story, a testimony that shows how faith can carry us through even the darkest of times. Thalita's story began like any mother's dream, the long-awaited discovery that she was pregnant with her first child. The excitement and joy of this news filled her heart, and she began to imagine the life she would build with her baby. For 9 months, her days were filled with anticipation, hope, and the wonder of new life. She attended every doctor's appointment with excitement, each ultrasound confirming that everything was progressing smoothly. The future looked bright, and she cherished the dream of holding her baby girl in her arms. As the day of delivery approached, Thalita's heart was full of joy. Her water broke, signaling that her baby was ready to enter the world. She rushed to the hospital, overwhelmed with excitement and the anticipation of meeting her daughter for the first time. However, upon arrival, things took an unexpected turn. Her regular doctor was unavailable, and she was assigned a new physician. It was during this time that she received news that would change her life forever. Her baby had several severe health complications. Instead of the joy she had imagined, Thalita was confronted with fear and uncertainty. Her baby girl was diagnosed with multiple health issues that would require immediate and specialized care. Instead of preparing for the typical joys of motherhood, she had to face the harsh reality of surgeries, hospital stays, and the unknown future of her child's health. Yet, even in the midst of this overwhelming situation, Thalita turned to her faith in God. She believed that despite the circumstances, God had a plan for her and her baby. In moments of overwhelming fear and despair, she found strength in the promises of Scripture. Psalm 23:4 echoed in her heart. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. These words became her constant source of comfort as she began a journey of faith that would test her like never before. As her daughter's health complications unfolded, Thalita was thrust into a world she had never imagined, a world filled with medical procedures, machines, and hospital rooms. From the moment her baby was born, her little girl was taken straight to the ICU. The joyous moments most mothers experience after childbirth were replaced with the pain of watching her newborn struggle for life in an incubator. The first devastating diagnosis was an intestinal obstruction, a condition that required immediate surgery. On the very first day of her life, Thalita's baby had to undergo a significant operation to address the issue. It was a nightmare no mother should have to face, watching her newborn endure such an invasive procedure. Yet, through it all, Thalita clung to her faith in God, believing that He was still in control, even when everything around her seemed to be falling apart. After the surgery, there was a brief glimmer of hope. The operation was successful, and for a moment it seemed that her baby would recover. However, the following day brought new challenges. Her daughter was unable to digest milk, a critical sign that her condition was still unstable. Each visit to the ICU became an emotional roller coaster for Thalita, filled with both hope and heartbreak. She would anxiously peer through the glass, looking for any sign of progress, only to be met with more bad news. Soon after, the doctors discovered another serious issue, a congenital heart defect that required immediate attention. The condition, known as a patent ductus arteriosus, was causing pulmonary hypertension, and it required delicate surgery to correct. Once again, Thalita found herself facing the terrifying reality that her daughter's life was in jeopardy. The weight of it all seemed unbearable. In those moments, she turned to the comforting words of Jesus in Matthew 11:28. "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." These words became her refuge, reminding her that, despite the overwhelming circumstances, she was not alone. God was with her, walking beside her in the valley of shadows, offering her peace in the midst of chaos. As time went on, the weight of her daughter's medical challenges continued to grow. Thalita's baby underwent the heart surgery, and though it was successful at first, new complications soon arose. Just a week after the operation, the doctors discovered that the clip used to fix the heart defect had come loose, necessitating another, even more dangerous surgery. It felt like one blow after another, as if the weight of the world was pressing down on Thalita's shoulders. In these moments of complete helplessness, Thalita found herself at a crossroads. She could either let fear and despair consume her, or she could surrender everything to God, trusting that He would guide her through this impossible situation. She chose faith. She clung to Psalm 34:19, which says, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all." This verse became her lifeline, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, God is faithful. For months, Thalita lived in the ICU by her daughter's side. She became accustomed to the beeping of machines, the sterile smell of the hospital, and the sight of her baby's fragile body connected to tubes and wires. It was a sight no mother should have to endure, yet through it all, she never lost her faith. Despite the grim diagnoses, despite the uncertainty, she believed that God was still at work. Even when the doctors spoke harshly, giving her little hope, Thalita refused to give up. She knew that God's strength was made perfect in her weakness, and in those moments of despair, she felt His presence more than ever. Isaiah 41:10 became her constant companion. "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." These words gave her the courage to face each day, knowing that she was not alone in this battle. Through the support of her family and church, Thalita found the strength to keep going, but the toll on her body was evident. She lost weight, couldn't eat, and felt the deep exhaustion that only comes from prolonged grief and stress. Yet, in the quiet moments of solitude, when it was just her and God, she found peace. She realized that even in the stillness, God was there, holding her close, giving her the strength to carry on. One of the most miraculous moments in Thalita's journey came when her daughter developed a life-threatening infection. The only cure was a medication that was not available in Brazil. It had to be sourced from the United States. The hospital informed Thalita that it would take 16 days for the medicine to arrive, a time frame that her daughter simply could not survive. Faced with an impossible situation, Thalita did the only thing she could: she prayed. Thalita reached out to every connection she had, desperate for help. And then, just when all hope seemed lost, a pastor from the United States who had never met Thalita or her family offered to bring the medicine himself. He was willing to spend New Year's Eve on a plane, traveling across the world to deliver the medication that could save her daughter's life. Within 2.5 days, the medicine was in Thalita's hands, a miracle in itself. When she brought the medication to the hospital, the doctors were astounded. They asked her how she had managed to obtain the medicine so quickly, and with unwavering faith, Thalita responded, "God provided. If it were your child, you would do the same." It was a moment that solidified her belief that God was with her, working through the kindness and selflessness of others to bring hope in the midst of despair. Despite the miraculous delivery of the medicine, Thalita's daughter's condition continued to deteriorate. After several cardiac arrests, her little girl passed away in Thalita's arms. It was the darkest moment of her life, yet even in her grief she felt an inexplicable peace. Romans 8:18 echoed in her heart. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Though her pain was immense, she knew that God had a higher purpose for her life and her daughter's brief time on earth. After her daughter's passing, Thalita was left with an overwhelming sense of exhaustion, both physically and emotionally. The grief weighed heavily on her heart, and she couldn't help but wonder what the future would hold. Would she ever be able to experience the joy of motherhood again? The fear of the unknown was paralyzing, but in her moments of deepest doubt, Thalita turned to God for guidance. One day, as she sat in her car, she prayed for a sign from God, a confirmation that He was still with her, that He still had plans for her. As she finished her prayer, a song filled with hope began to play on the radio, and in that moment, Thalita felt God's presence more strongly than ever before. She knew, without a doubt, that God was speaking to her, reassuring her that her journey was far from over. About a year later, Thalita received the incredible news that she was pregnant again, this time with twins. God had not only answered her prayers, but He had blessed her with two beautiful, healthy daughters, Sarah and Lorena. The joy she felt was indescribable, and it was a testament to the power of faith, perseverance, and God's unwavering love. Looking back on her journey, Thalita sees how every tear, every moment of suffering was transformed into a blessing. Her faith was tested in ways she could never have imagined, but through it all, she remained steadfast, trusting that God's plans were greater than her own. Today, she uses her story to inspire other mothers who are facing similar challenges, reminding them that even in the darkest of times, God is with them. Thalita's testimony is a powerful reminder that no matter what we face, God is always working for our good. As Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. If you are going through a season of hardship or uncertainty, know that you are not alone. God is with you, guiding you through every trial and turning your pain into hope.